My favorite saying nowadays is if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. My schedule used to be jam packed all the time. I used to say yes to everything. And, I did this for a few reasons. I think I didn't want to be at home with my thoughts because at the time I just was always either sort of thinking about the past, did I go wrong somewhere, or worried about my future. I was never really living in the present. I used to think it was cool to be out on the town all the time. And I was just so concerned with how other people perceived me. I was like, well, it's Saturday night. I have to go out. I have to be cool. I thought I was an extrovert and that's what I'm supposed to do. It turns out I'm an introvert. I actually did not learn that until the pandemic and most people were forced to be home. And I learned how much I thrived when I got lots of alone time to build up my energy again. And I was like, oh, that's an introvert. It felt really good to figure that out. And then lastly, one of the reasons I always said yes was because I wanted to make other people happy. And I said yes a lot of times out of guilt. And worrying that I would disappoint someone if I didn't say yes. And so, all of these reasons kind of needed to be handled, but, and it took me a while, certainly, but that last one, people pleasing, I think is something that many, many people understand. And, I did what other people expected me to do. I didn't want to be rude. I wanted other people to always come to me. I felt like I really liked being needed. I was desperate to be liked. Like I said, I hated, thinking that I felt guilty if someone didn't like me. I really wanted to be cool. I hated thinking that someone didn't like me. Honestly, that one still kind of bothers me, but I'm working on it. I definitely have some awareness to it now, thankfully. And there are a few reasons why I was people pleasing so much. And, let me know if you resonate with any of it. But I was raised to be a good girl, this good girl narrative where you say yes if you have the extra time, if you can be helpful, selfless. I think I was afraid to look within to figure out what I really wanted. And so it was just easier to say yes and please other people. And I was afraid to stick up for myself. I'm not sure I thought that I deserved to stick up for myself. I'm not sure that I thought that I deserved to, to do what was on my heart or in my own best interest. And, again, I think a lot of people, especially women, can resonate with this kind of people-pleasing narrative, people-pleasing type of being. But I'm here to disrupt that. If you want to say no, say no. I realize it's much harder to put into practice. And I know that because I did it. Especially if you've gone your entire life pleasing others. I talk to a lot of one-on-one clients about, you're X years old and your entire life has been built. And, because of that, because of those beliefs and the way you were raised and the things that you interpreted and assumed, that created who you are today. So the good news is that because you created this person, you can create someone different. That you can create who you are. But that doesn't mean it's easy because you have so many years of this built up stuff. It just takes time, energy, and I always say practice. It's practice, not perfection. So if you want to get over this people pleasing, which I, by the way, totally recommend, first of all, figure out what you want. And for a long time, I didn't know what I wanted. I want you to ask yourself, what makes me feel joy? What makes your energy skyrocket? I just did everything, said yes to everything, hoping to figure out what I really wanted, but it doesn't work that way. I ended up being just really tired and annoyed and doing things I didn't want to do. But so figure out what you truly want. Like, especially if you're someone who always says, I don't care or I don't know, when people ask you even simple questions like, where do you want to go to dinner? Like, practice having an opinion. Practice really asking yourself, like, what do I want right now? And, when you're making plans with your friends, consider, okay, what actually brings me joy? What activities do I want to be a part of my life? Really, like, take a moment to think about it. And then when people ask you to do something, just simply say, let me get back to you. Let me look at my schedule, instead of automatically saying yes and trying to fit it in. Even if you have all the time in the world, that doesn't mean you have to say yes. So consider that. Just at the very least, for right now, consider saying, let me check with my schedule, and then follow up with that person only after you've really decided if this is something, if you want this to be a yes or a no. And again, it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And let me think. Oh yeah, I wrote little notes, of course, and I said, remember, you're allowed to not want to do something. Nothing is wrong with you if you simply need to rest, stay home, or if you just don't want to do that thing. Don't. You're normal. It's okay to say no. And guilt. So a lot of it, we say yes because we're not saying yes because you want to say yes. We're saying yes to avoid guilt. And so I want you to really pay attention here. And it's just going to take some practice and maybe a little bit of like fighting your emotions, kind of fighting your body, because our emotions and our body, these are just memorized habits. And, your body says, we know what happens, we know how we feel when this situation happens, and when your mind perceives a situation similar to that, it automatically goes to those emotions. So if you're used to saying yes to avoid feeling guilty, your body is going to automatically go to guilt when you say no. I want you to note that and simply say, that's okay, that's normal for me right now. But once I get used to this and keep practicing, that's going to change, because it will. Keep it simple. This is simply about changing your habits. You have to unlearn guilt. And you will, but it does take practice. If someone is upset by your no, that's on them, not on you. We can't control how someone feels about our reactions and responses. Like, they can interpret, assume however they want. It's on them, and they assume and interpret based on their own life. So we let that go. We live our truth. We let everything else go. We only control the way we respond and react. I hope that's helpful. So I think the guilt is a really big one. So if you really resonate with that, just start practicing. Just when someone calls you and says, hey, let's do this, I want you to consider what you actually want. Instead of saying, I don't know or I don't care, I want you to say, hold on just a minute, let me get back to you, or let me check my schedule or something. And then really take your moment to consider if this is something you want in your life. And if it's not, say no. By the way, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to give excuses. Don't lie. If you're not busy, don't lie and say you're busy. Just be honest. Say, no, I'm good. Thanks anyway. That's okay. And then if guilt comes up, just say to yourself, I'm going to allow the guilt. It's perfectly okay that it's there, because I'm not used to saying no. So it's only natural that this might happen in the beginning. Just trust yourself. Trust your own judgment, and trust your body that you will unlearn guilt with time. So I hope this was really helpful. I wanted to talk about it today because I work with clients a lot on this. A lot of women feel guilt, are people pleasing, and they've been people pleasing for so long that they don't even know what they want for themselves. So I would really encourage you to consider what you want and then take some action. And I'll put my link tree in the description below so that you can see what I do. I have a course out right now called How to Date Again. I do private coaching, and you can read some previous client testimonials if you're curious about what clients thought about my style of coaching. All right, have a good week.